Hello, everyone. Welcome in. My name is Dr. Jake Tucker, and whether you're watching this live or catching this after the fact, I wanted to talk today about chiropractic and the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918. It's really an incredible thing. Just what chiropractic was able to do for the population that it affected. Chiropractic was very young in 1918. Most people don't realize that chiropractic has just been around since 1895 when D.D. Palmer figured out that adjusting a deaf janitor in his building was able to help cure his deafness. And so from there, it grew and became so much more than that. So I wanted to dive into the story of the flu pandemic and one of the most deadly pandemics of known in history. In fact, over 20 million people died worldwide from that pandemic, and it was over 500,000 Americans just in the course of 6 months. So what happened was in Iowa, there were it looks like about 5,000 cases of the flu that were treated by medical doctors at that time. And what the survival rate was basically that for every 15 cases treated for the Spanish flu, one person died. And so just very sad that went in there. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which we've gotten into over the last few videos. But we want to make sure that your immune system is functioning at a high level. So, at that same time that medical doctors were treating patients for the flu, we also see that chiropractors start treating flu patients as well. And they actually have a much better survival rate. In fact, they saw over 1,600 cases and only a total of 25 total deaths. In fact, what we saw nationwide was that out of 10,000 people treated, there were only 25 deaths with people just treated with spinal adjustments. And so it's really incredible how this happens. And so we look at the nervous system here. And so you can see on the screen an example of what that nervous system looks like. And so this nervous system is made up of several components. The first and biggest part being your brain. The brain controls all function of the body. In fact, that intelligence that God placed inside of each of us, really, it's what brought us together inside our mother's womb, that sperm and the egg, came together, started duplicating and replicating itself 35 trillion times into this living, loving, thinking clay that we are. And then it formed a brain. It grew a tail off of that brain called a spinal cord, and then nerve roots and nerves coming out. And at the end of every single nerve grew every organ, cell, and tissue in your body. And the intelligence that's inside you that formed you is what keeps you running, keeps you breathing, keeps your heart beating, your lungs breathing. It heals a cut on your leg. It's actually what runs and regulates your nervous system and your nervous system running your immune system. And so for that immune system to work properly, your nervous system has to run properly. Now, around that nervous system is bone. The skull surrounds and protects the brain. The spinal column and each individual vertebra surround and protect the brain stem, the spinal cord, and each of the nerve roots is active off. Now, that spinal column has a normal position, just like you have a normal temperature, blood pressure, heart rate. You actually have a normal position of your spine. It should be straight up and down from the front, or when you look at it from the side, like we're doing over here to this side, we're actually seeing that it has or should have 345-degree curves. When it has those curves, your nervous system heals and functions at or near 100%. But when it moves out of alignment, what we see from the neurological research that's out there right now is even just a 2 millimeter or 2-degree misalignment restricts the ability of the brain to see what's going on out to the other end, reducing that function by as much as 50%. And that's actually the definition of health, is when you have 100% optimal function and healing, then your body is healthy and is able to heal and function at a high level. But when there's a decrease in function, when there's a decrease in the ability of your nervous system to control organ cells or tissues, we actually see a malfunction build up, and that leads to sickness, disease, and ultimately an early death. And so when that nervous system is functioning at a high level, you're actually able to heal and function at a high level, even at the immune level. And this is actually how this happened. So if you look at the top of the nervous system off here to the right, we actually see this black nerve exit off and it runs out everywhere. It's called the vagus nerve, in Latin meaning wander. It wanders down to every digestive organ, accessory or primary. And that is actually where the bulk of your immune system resides. It resides in your digestive system, in your microbiome. When it heals and functions well, then you heal and function well. You're able to build up your resistance. Your immune system sends out white blood cells that come in contact with different viruses and bacteria and start building an immunity to them, and naturally acquired lifelong immunity to them. But when you restrict that vagus nerve function, what we see is an increase in autoimmune disorders, a dysregulation, so to speak, of that immune system. And so this is where chiropractic was actually able to affect people and their response to the flu during the 1918 pandemic, is increasing that vagal nerve tone. And we see that affects so many different things in different areas. And so I wanted to encourage you that if you haven't gone in to see a chiropractor to get your nervous system checked to make sure that it's running at a high level, chiropractors have been deemed essential healthcare workers across the nation. And so they're still open in most areas. So call them up. You can find one in your area by going to maxliving.com. And there's a find a doctor tool. Just plug in your zip code and you'll find the nearest doctor to you. And if you're in the Lincoln, Nebraska area, we are still open. We're offering extended hours and even private adjusting time for our patients, as well as heavily disinfecting the office to make sure that you are staying safe and staying healthy. But one of the most important and powerful things that you can do is keep your nervous system healing and functioning at a high level. I'm Dr. Jake Tucker. For me and the office and staff here, thank you for tuning in. You can call my office at 402-413-8825. Feel free to text that number as well. That goes directly to my cell phone, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Also, feel free to leave any comments or questions. We're happy to answer those. I'll hang out for the next few minutes to answer those questions as well. But make sure that you're sharing this with your friends and family. I will go back and I'll monitor the questions. I'll answer them via text, leaving the comments below, responding to those questions in line. But one of the most common questions I get is, number one, how do you check a nervous system? Well, your nervous system runs mostly off of electricity. So tracking the electrical signals running through your nervous system is key. We're actually able to see, using a tool called surface electromyography, that when you're healing and functioning well, that surface electromyography scan shows up in the normal range. But when that is abnormally functioning, that actually shows up as red, pink, or even black bars. That actually shows us that there's malfunction in the nervous system, leading to malfunction in other systems as well. And so we look at that and then we compare those to your x-rays. X-rays actually show us the alignment of your spine most specifically, even more specific than an MRI would. And we're actually able to see if there's misalignments in the spine that could create pressure or damage or dysregulation of the nervous system affecting the immune system. And so we see those on a daily basis. Any misalignment of 2 degrees or more, or a decrease in one of those curves by 50% or more, can lead to a pathological tension that actually shuts that down. People always ask, what's the role of my insurance in this process? And while we do participate with most insurance companies, what we want people to recognize is that your insurance is not set up, health insurance is not set up for you to be healthy. By definition, the Medicare guidelines state that any care that seeks to prevent disease, promote or enhance the quality or longevity of life is not considered medically necessary and therefore will not be covered. That's Medicare's definition. That's Medicare's guidelines. That's not our office policy. I wish that your health insurance would pay for it. But just like your health insurance won't actually cover your organic foods or your health club memberships, they're also not going to cover you being healthy. And so there's a role for health insurance in our office, and we can walk through that based off of what your policy is and what coverage they offer for you. But what we're going to be looking at is exactly what it takes to get you healthy, as well as exactly what needs to be done versus what they cover, and keeping your care affordable. Everybody asks what the cost of an adjustment is in our office. The typical adjustment costs $45. The first adjustments are the most expensive because the most needs to be done. Typically, those cost around $60 to $65, depending on just the level of intervention that we need to take in your spine. But again, we need to develop a plan. We need to find the cause first for that. So that exam, what the typical exam fee is is $50 for the exam, and then if necessary, we take x-rays. Those are $20 a piece. So call our office now, 402-413-8825, and we would be happy to help you set that up. So again, 402-413-8825, and we are happy to show you exactly what it looks like to set up an appointment in our office. Now you can also go to our website, that's goodlifefamilychiropractic.com, and request an appointment there. And those appointments are all the exact same fee, no matter how you're setting those up. So happy to help. Go ahead and go to our website. We'd be happy to help you out there as well. I've been Dr. Jake Tucker. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night after shift around 6 o'clock, 6:15 for another episode on how to keep your immune system healing and functioning at a high level. Thanks, guys.